Testing. See if we can work out sort of what happened yesterday. Not quite sure. The sound was working so until about sort of halfway through, and then for some reason went all cattywampus kind of thing. So anyway, whatever. Let's move on. Where are we at? 11:34. It is the last day of the calendar month. Last trading day as well, of course. So this is where they're supposedly going to be saying, look out for those end of month flows. And look, a couple of things to cover because obviously, look, we're on gold, so we'll start off there. All-time highs, just powering on there. Let's just fix the chart a little bit there. All-time highs, bang, absolutely powering through these things over here. So, where are we at? This is the most recent ones. Oh, no, sorry. This is the most recent ones here. Forgot we're on the daily time frame here. Anyway, let's get on with it. So it took out the highs. It absolutely ripped up yesterday. So get onto the lower time frames. We can see this was the move that we were kind of looking for. Obviously, once this level here was taken out, if you watched the video yesterday, I can't remember where I put the sort of excuse me, I can't remember where the sound cut out. So hopefully it made it through that part, but regardless of it all, this was the level that we wanted to see break. And obviously, as you can see, this was the trigger. It went off and it just absolutely cut through up here. So we had a little bit of a pullback, was just from a little bit lower there. I took a little bit off here, a little bit off as we sort of moved up through this part here. Did not have the confidence for it to actually power through, so I didn't ride this thing to the very end of it all. But it was still a decent move, obviously, for gold sort of powering through there. So where to from now? Look, it's popped out the top and it's just consolidating out the top here. The fact that it didn't sort of get up here, two things of this. One, it didn't sort of get here and then go whoosh, flying up over here. I think people have learnt now as well, sort of going back to whenever it was last year. It might actually be 2 years ago now. Where was that big spike? This one here. This one here. I think people have sort of learned. This is also a very long, super long term kind of level of it all. But people have learned that stops above going flying straight up here is no good for anything. And obviously price got crushed $150 or so from the highs after that. So that was the stop run. So look, they're not sort of sitting there with like a barrage of stops just underneath this level, just above this level. But the fact is, it got out here and it's consolidated out here. It's not people going, okay, let's take profit. So you got to think why, like that's the thing. I think a lot of sort of technical analysis, people sort of like will look at the charts and they go, okay, well, the textbook says that this does this and this does this, so it should move this way. And that's like, yes. But you got to understand kind of like the psychology behind of what they're actually doing when these moves are playing out. And this is why I sort of cover these things and I sort of say, look, you've got your buyers here. This is buyers. Let's call this buyers. And you can see these buyers, and I've covered this a number of times, you can see the buyers advancing and advancing, and obviously they've just gone straight up the thing over here. And I mean, of course, you know that that's obvious and that's sort of given the price and look at it all. But the fact that this head and shoulders didn't play out, the fact that it retested at this level here, and I covered this yesterday or the day before, it must have been yesterday, that this back test down here came and sort of hit here and just exploded straight back up. It was around the time that we had the FOMC the other morning, and I said to a mate as we were doing it, and I said in the video yesterday, hopefully it wasn't part that got cut out, that this smaller price action around this little period just here, I said, look, this is going to test all-time highs. And not only that, it's popped in and put in an new all-time high. I mean, this is just a short-term one move of it all. But you got to understand sort of why, what's happening here. People are sort of short from this point because they were trying to drive it down. They were trying to get it back down over here for this little head and shoulder play out. But it's a tussle. It's a tussle, sorry. You got the buyers and you got the sellers. Buyers have said, look, you know what? This is going higher. I'm going to grab it. If I've got another shot to buy it here, I'm buying it. These people are getting out of their shorts and they've ripped it straight up the top over here. So now you're at a point where, okay, we know that sellers have been in this area here. This is what resistance is. We've seen areas where they've sold it before. First touch into it. We know that the first touch doesn't go through and bang, got smacked back down. It was a decent sort of little sell down from that zone as well. 2% drop off, $55 drop from that sort of high down here. But if you look at the sort of previous sells, and this is another thing that we covered sort of like in this area, this is a better example of it. Look at the size of these sell downs, and I've covered this a couple of times over the last couple of weeks in the videos. If you look at the size of this sell down, when we came up into this area, and I said this at the time, look at the size of this sell down. And this is the point. They're sort of like, they've allowed it to go down, allowed it to go down. This time they're like back like what, 50 bucks, so 20 to 29, 30 bucks, and then they're pushed up. And they're pushed up and pushed up and pushed up. So, look, it is certainly, it's proving itself at the moment. I've been very much in the camp of Team 3000 for a while. I think we do have a couple of measured moves, obviously, up around here, 2900, being that larger sort of triangle consolidation that we've sort of been working with. So look, I think there are some targets, and I do believe there's going to be some trades that are going to push it back up over here. The fact that it sort of has gone up here and just sort of it's consolidating, and this is what I'm talking about in terms of sort of like, the psychology of this could still obviously come back down here. Not to sort of say that they're not shaking it, but the first thought of the market as it put in the new highs wasn't, whoop, wipe my hands, yep, that's it, take profit in, yep, okay, we're out, and they move it back down like this. The thought is, okay, look, it's up here. Look, some people are trying to sell it. Some people are trying to short it. I mean, so some people are taking profit. Some people are trying to short it. That's fine. And this also, the buyers are just going, that's fine. We've moved here. We've gone and now the buyers are just sitting here. So you can see that they're very much extending up. These kind of moves up through here, they're not sustainable at that level. That's why you have the consolidation. You swap hands, a whole bunch of new people getting on board, and this is their base, and they're going to buy everything that comes at this spot, and then there's a good chance, a higher chance, I should say, that in this little scenario here, we're seeing this potentially to follow the direction of the if it leads into the consolidation and then moves on. And that's why consolidations are just like sort of stopping points in that. And it typically will favor the direction that it's moved into it. And you've seen this on a larger scale. All these things are transferable, but this is what I've been saying as well. This period here, you look at the direction it came into it, consolidation, moving off in that direction. Same through this period here, moved into it, consolidation, favors the direction it moves into it. And it's the thing is, it's exactly the same on every time frame. This is the sort of psychology of what they're actually doing when they're making these moves. It's not just the textbook said it should do this. It's basically sort of swapping over. You got new people who go, look, you know what? I'm going to buy everything at that level, and then move on. And that's why sort of when this thing sort of moves up, this is just sort of the hypothetical of it all. Say it moves up and then comes back down. You want to see the absence of sort of buyers at that level, and that's when you go, okay, now we're going to look for the next level where the buyers had been previously, and that's how you can sort of work out when supports are going to be broken. But for the time being, it's consolidating out the top. It is finding a little bit of resistance, but as we know, Asia session's not really super of late for gold. I think yesterday where we are, so through here, it started to make its move 5 o'clock yesterday. So I was actually on a run and it just broke out. But as I say, Asia very much consolidate, not really do too much. So look, I do think we have a short-term high here. I do think this is favoring the idea that we get another bit of a push up over to here. The thing is when you're in these areas, you're in kind of like no man's land. Like there's no sort of horizontal, there's no sort of historical data you can sort of say, hey, look, this is where we've seen price move previously. This could be something we could work off. You just got to work off what potentially could be happening with it all. In this sort of instance, we could sort of say that, look, your sellers are here, sellers are here, sellers are here. 3 touches on this line. This could give us a short-term move target up to this area over here. This particular type of consolidation as well, I mean, you could say it's just a little bit of a flagpole kind of thing like this, and then moves off here. And that's another thing to sort of say that, look, you could potentially be seeing this up around here. So let's move that next price target up over here. I mean, look, that's still a fairly hefty jump from where we are, another 45 bucks. But as I said, the fact that you've gone out the top side of it all, it hasn't The fact that it's gone out the top side of it all and hasn't just sold off immediately, I think shows that there's probably some keen sort of buyers to take this a little bit higher. And of course, this is the larger sort of plan, which is basically exactly what this little drawing is here, is that you break through, you keep moving, you find your resistance, you come back, you find your support being all the people that have tried to short it here and sort of gone, okay, crap, it's gone through. Smash out a couple of their stops, make them sort of feel the pain, push up to the top side here, find your price targets wherever, let people take profit, let the shorts sort of relieve a little bit, and then as you come back into this area here, this is where we look to sort of see, again, as I said a second ago, are the buyers going to be here? And potentially we're going to see something similar to this move that we saw just earlier this week, where we had consolidation down the bottom here, held, bang, exploded up, found resistance, retest at that breakout point, and then it moved on. So I do believe that that's probably more the direction that we're going to be kind of looking at here. So let's make this one a bit fatter, I think, just to sort of differentiate between the two. Oof. It's getting a bit messy, but anyway, I mean, look, idea is still the same. Breakout, find resistance, move back. This is where you want to look to add to things. It's a bit risky when it's moving into no man's land. You got to be quick fire with these kind of things, and tight with your stops, because you obviously don't want to get caught up around the top, up over here if it does happen to come back down here and fail underneath this area. But I would say most likely that's the course of action that you're looking at. Sort of short-term price target up around this area, and then this move to sort of be similar to this, to sort of come back and then sort of find support at that sort of previous all-time high and then move on there. So short term, I think we've got some upside. Look for the sort of pullback and the test of that and then a move forward there. One thing to sort of add into all this sort of stuff at the moment as well is all this tariff talk. There was a bit of a sort of a crappy headline out this morning, a series of them actually, I should say, where I mean, it's one of those things you sort of like, you go like, oh, it's it's manipulation or whatever. Well, I think it's pretty obvious that it is. Whether it is or isn't, well, it makes no difference. You can cry about it, or you can just go, well, that sucks, and we keep on moving on. So basically, there was a series of headlines out saying that Trump had enacted the 25%. Where is it? That he'd enacted the 25% tariffs on Canada. I'll have to find where it is. So for some reason, it doesn't seem to be showing up on here. So one second, I'll find it. Alright, so I don't know why it's not showing up on this. It's a bit dodgy with that, but I actually sent it to a mate as it sort of came out. As you can see, 1 minute later, so a whole bunch of alerts going bang, 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 bang. Breaking 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Trump, boom, 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 breaking, boom. All those kind of things. Trump to put, like, this is the thing. It came out, and then 5 minutes later, 1 minute after this came out, Trump hasn't yet put tariffs on Mexico, Canada, but repeats he will. And now he's obviously then saying he's going to put it onto China as well. As you can see, 808, 810. So these things, I was getting these sort of, a minute, 2 minutes after they sort of came out, and the market absolutely just had a little panic attack. We can see Aussie is a good recipient of this. If you chuck this little thing, it was holding its own for a little bit there. It was like, hey, it's not too bad. And then just within, well, we put it on a 2 minute candle. That's the reaction. So within call it 6 minutes, Aussie dropped 40 points in 6 minutes based on a headline that then got redacted, and it's sort of like, obviously we saw a little bit of a bounce and then a dribble through the session there. So yeah. It seems to be sort of this is almost sort of what we can expect. Hopefully not for 4 years, because this is I mean, that's not trading. That's kind of like, close your eyes, try and sleep, and hope that they don't come out with some stupid headline that's got no real sort of foundation. Like, look, the tariffs are coming. We know this, and tomorrow's D-Day for it. So that could be a little bit of a sort of prelude as to sort of what's going to be happening with it. But partly the reason I don't trade oil is because of this kind of stuff. You can be asleep, be in a good position. Turns out somebody bombs somebody in the middle of nowhere, and your positions get blown out. There's no sort of analysis that can prepare you for that. I mean, like, yes, you could say, okay, tariffs are coming, but that was a headline at any random time, and it drops, over 0.5%. Come on, that's ridiculous. And then the sort of turn out they go, oh, actually, no, he just said it would be. It hasn't actually happened yet. Well, we know it hasn't happened yet. We know it is coming. But at that point, the market didn't react because it just realized, oh, it's coming. We know it's coming. That's what this kind of move through here is. That headline is what caused this bang, big shot down here. So enough of a gripe on that. But as I said, it's reminiscent as well. As I should just add that it's reminiscent of when uh, Musk was doing stuff with Bitcoin a couple of years ago and Dogecoin or whatever, all that kind of sort of stuff. And he'd tweet something and the market would go or up or down. Like, yeah, that's not trading. That's like sort of like, that's like playing bingo. Like, I hope they call my number. Oh, anyway, whatever. It's just a little bit sort of frustrating to sort of see these moves happen like that in such a fast action. Probably frustrating for me because yeah, if you're on the other side of it all, because I was trying to sort of trade through this period here, and it was fine. We sort of held its own, and then obviously bang, wiped out in 2 minutes. So look, a little bit frustrating. But if we have a look at what Aussie is doing as a whole, I think the sound did sort of cut out there yesterday when I was doing this. We look at sort of where it has coming back and bouncing from. And at the moment, it's retesting the breakout point of the major channel. These are not to sort of say that it can't continue down and retest the top side, which, depending, of course, how fast you get there, is low 61s, should this continue to break down through this period here. We are into a sort of a higher time frame support area. So, you expect a little bit of sort of effort to hold it through here. But let's close this up. Oops. But yeah, I think certainly if you take out these wick lows, go underneath 62, that's good enough to sort of say, hey, look, we're going to be coming a little bit lower with Aussie here. Look, from a technical standpoint, we all know it's under immense amount of pressure, has been for a while. Again, I don't know how much of this got covered yesterday or whether it sort of cut out at that point, but we know that the most likely looking like February cuts are coming now. But if we look at history with it all, this is what pricing in. This is obviously US dollar strength, a lot of this stuff here. But the fact that it's just been unable to really get much of a kick up at all is also factored in the fact that we know that these cuts are coming. But if you look at, for instance, as the example of what we saw yesterday, just to confirm this whole period through here, again, I may have covered this yesterday, I don't know where it cut out. This whole move here was pricing in the 50 basis point cut for US dollar on DXY. The cut itself, can't even see it on here, is this move just here, where it just tipped down. So the actual fact of it cutting doesn't really matter so much because you look at the reaction afterwards and it's just been a one-way show. Yes, we had the Trump thing and that's what sort of allowed it to sort of continue the election sort of period. But the point is that they price these things. The profits, and I say this time and time again, the profits don't belong to the person that sort of act on the day. If you decide to sort of short it on the day, well, most likely you're going to get ripped from that because, you haven't done the analysis, haven't sort of taken your positions. The people that have been positioning all that time, they're the ones that are going to be banking on this sort of stuff. And even just to sort of show this, emphasize this as well, last night we had Euro, obviously coming back down now, but this is where Euro cut 25 base point yesterday. I'm like, So 4 hour. Yep. This is where they cut last night, and obviously, the reaction was that to move up. Obviously, got sold into, and then the tariff things and all this kind of stuff obviously still weighs on it, and it's back down at the lows now. So it doesn't mean obviously we're going to see a reaction like we saw with DXY because there was other factors involved with that. But it does sort of go to show that these things get priced in well before the actual time of them cutting. So it's no big shocker that we may potentially see a cut in February. I think the market's pretty much if you go off what you sort of see with your little headlines and that, they're sort of saying, oh look, it's 80, 90% sort of priced in with it all. So it's pretty much the expectation. So the fear with that is, or the risk I should say with that is more that they actually hold, and then you see Aussie move up like this. But that's an outside bet, and we'll see what happens there. So that's the thing of sort of coming up here. We broke through, got a little bounce, had a little another effort. This is the area you want to see it hold right now. Where's the little box gone? Look, put it down on the wicks and sort of say here, I think this and here is what's going to give us our direction. At the moment, not looking super strong. Well, obviously, definitely not looking super strong. More sell into the rips as we've broken this support through here. But again, I don't think this is time to short right here. Maybe for the confirmation down underneath 62, and then we could be looking down to these lower support areas, 61, 70, these kind of areas with it all. The only thing that's holding Aussie potentially up, not given sort of the last overnight sort of action, and certainly not this morning with that tariff stuff, is a weaker US dollar. And so, whereas I'm sort of saying that, look, all this stuff's priced in and all this kind of stuff, Aussie's already been beaten down 10% or so. Oh, it's bounced a little bit, but 9, 10% from its highs 3, 4 months ago. So you got to think, I mean, look, it could go down into the 50s, yeah, without a doubt. But you got to think sort of how much of that already is priced in. And then if they start to sell off US dollar, well, that's the driving force with Aussie, a lot more than what's happening on the homegrown stuff. They've already sort of sold it down in anticipation for the cuts. And then if you see a continued weakening of the US dollar, well, that almost makes it, all things considered, they've sold enough of it based on the cuts. Now they're selling US dollar. That could lead to some sort of level of Aussie at least sort of maintaining and not completely going down. If we see another rip up on DXY and US dollar on a broad sense, then I could very much see Aussie going down, potentially under 60, which is horrific to sort of say, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? We're here to sort of work out what these other people are doing with the charts. So anyway, again, that's broader sort of stuff. The here and now, I think sort of look above 62.20, little bounce highs, you might be able to sort of come back and maybe look to undo this this little part just here. Certainly, there is a lot of work to be done on a lot of levels through here. So this is where you got to see him get above. This is where you got to see him get above. Obviously, we've got this sort of stuff through here. You know what I mean? Like even if they start to sell US dollar again, whoops, there's a lot of areas to start to try and short from again, as it's as it could potentially move up. But as it is, as a whole, strong sell down, tried to rally, found resistance. Watch for this level down here for the next leg down. Something to this sort of effect down to 70, 61, 70. I'll make this a bit smaller. So, boom. This kind of move down through here. I mean, you could sort of say your support's down up here, and sort of, a close down under here. What are we looking at between that? Yeah, to 5 points. So pretty much that area there. So look, if this closes underneath 62, this is on a 1 hour here. We're on one. We're about to finish the hour, so it may consolidate this area because obviously unable to get that next leg down as of yet. So you see what happens on the new hour, 12 o'clock. All right, cool. So yeah, Aussie certainly under fire there. Have a look at silver. Got the mad breakouts yesterday. So this is one obviously been looking at and sort of tracking a fair bit. Not quite up into that sort of 32 area that we were kind of majorly looking for, but I bought this breakthrough here. Of course, as usual, sort of I capture part of the move like around here, and then I'm like, I watch it, I watch it, I watch it. But at least I didn't get sucked into any sort of FOMO and sort of chase this thing up. Even though it would probably still, it doesn't really matter where you bought it, you probably still make a little bit of profit. But this is the level we were first initially looking for based on, going back, we've seen sort of market value at around this level a couple of times. Didn't really do much on the way up, but certainly as you can see on the way back, that was a little area that they said, yep, cool, we'll have another shot, and they've pushed it up here again. So again, similar to gold in that, in the sense that it's really just sort of consolidating the highs up here. You can almost sort of call this something like a little bit of a triangle here. I don't imagine we're going to get much through this session. It does provide a little bit of downside up through if this were to sort of pen it out. I think if you go back down underneath 31.30, then you can look for this kind of move back down to say 31 for another effort. But you've got your first little retest through this area here, and then it's obviously springboarded up. So I think, if you do get another shot around 31, I'll be taking another sort of stab at it for the idea that this will hold as a support, and that may be the bigger leg that we get there, which will sort of get us back up to that 32, which is really kind of the level that we're looking for, which is obviously these price targets over here. If you look at this now, if we put it on a 4-hour, I'll probably sort of find a smaller little range, a little bit through here. So as you can see, they tried to hold it here a couple of times back in, when's this, sort of like start of December. And I didn't even quite get to that. So I thought this might have lined up pretty perfectly with this lot here. I suppose it really depends where you put it. I mean, this lower wick is pretty much where they've sort of come in with it all. So let's just pop that down there. Boom. Not a major level by any means. Obviously, somewhat of an area of a bounce through here. This is where they've sort of sold it back here. But yeah, sort of, I would be reluctant to buy it up here. I think if you can get down at 31, I mean, it's a 50-cent drop off. That's a better option, in my opinion. But 32 still maintains as the short-term price target. Medium, yeah, short-term, I reckon we could maybe it'll come down here before going up over here. But 32 is where I expect it to be sort of moving towards. Copper. No, there we go. Boom. Got the breakthrough, came in, sellers, where we thought they would be. Boom, in this line here. So as you can see, we've marked it out. We know that they're sitting in this band. They got another shot to sell it, take profit, whatever, bang. It is through this falling resistance here. So you want to see it hold this area and then obviously take out that wick. So put an alert here. Top side of the range there. I think that's sort of where you're going to see a bit more of a confirmation. There'll be a little bit of a zone at 440, but I think you're potentially then sort of playing around with this area up the top over here. And really, this is still just our box, our bigger range that we're in through here. A couple little fake outs to the bottom, and it's sort of pushed up over here. But at the moment, look, all metals obviously sort of pumped up overnight. Silver, copper isn't any different to it all. Obviously, sort of gold being the sort of more the precious metal, silver playing both sort of camps, precious metal and also sort of manufacturing metal. Copper, obviously the latter. But in terms of sort of where it could go from here, it's a little bit overbought. This is on the 4-hour. I'd imagine it's just going to consolidate under this area here. I think if we do get another push on with gold and silver, then you might sort of see this recover a little bit more there at the same time. Just realised I skipped over DXY, one of the more main ones here. So look, it is really testing topside of this potential channel here. As I said, was very much coming down here within a sniff. Excuse me. Let's put this onto the lower time frame of that price target, or where we sort of said the buyers would be. Didn't quite get to close the gap. I mean, this is Tuesday's gap, but really targeted this, and it came down hard. A lot of stuffing around first. I mean, obviously we're going through a little fake up here, fake up here. If this comes down here again, I think that's, like I've said this a few times, that might be where we see a bit more of a sustained sell-off, because you got to think the market is selling it up and they're like, great, let's sell into it. Moved up, great, let's sell into it. Moved up, great, let's sell into it. Are they going to do it again? Are we going to see a repeat of this where they've sold it up, bought it up, sorry, and then sell it back down again? This last push on here, let's get rid of some of these. This last push here was the tariff talk. I mean, it went down. It got smacked down here. This is around ECB time. It's only on a very low time frame. Where was it? Maybe even lower. I think I was looking on the 5. This negative divergence here. I was talking to a mate last night, and I'm like, oh, look at this negative divergence, nice little ledge, and this just went bang down from there. It didn't look back. But this is a very much a testament to this particular way of the market at the moment. Take your profit, because anybody that was trading anything through this period, well, bang, even stops to even giving yourself a little bit just above the highs, well, I'm sorry, but you're out and you made nothing. You got a great trade and you made nothing on it. But anyway, the point is, it came back up here, retested the underside here, sold down again, managed to sort of rally back up through that. And look, a lot of things were holding. This is more sort of probably euro based in that, because look, they did actually cut, so there is going to be some level of weakness in the euro there. But as you can see, sold into again, and then within 1 minute, 5 minutes, this one up 0.5%. You know, oh, actually, hold on, wait, no, he hasn't said it yet. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, whatever. We know it's a bit rigged, but this is the game. There's no point, even if you're going to whinge about who you're going to whinge to. This is the area you're looking for here. Don't know what just happened there. Let's pull you a zone. And I think this is the more important chart of everything at the moment. Let's get rid of this. As you can see, they're selling into it at the moment. And this is what I was saying. It's sort of like, the tariffs haven't come yet. And look, there is a big chance. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a big chance. Maybe just I'm telling myself I think it's a higher chance. There's a higher chance that, people do curtail to what the US are wanting and saying. You know what I mean? Like, what's Canada going to gain by? I mean, it's over fentanyl or something like this, which I don't know how much is coming in from there. It's not my area, but you sort of think, like, you know what I mean? What are you fighting for? Like, yeah, is Trudeau even still in there? I don't know. I saw he had handed in his resignation or whatever, but I guess he's there till they find somebody to replace him or whatever. But the point is, it's sort of like, is this the sort of the hill you're going to sort of die on? To sort of say, hey, look, you know what? We're not going to work with you. I mean, look, the way that the America's gone about it, US has gone about it. Um, is very sort of like, hey, yeah, what we're making the rules, we call the shots, and get on board. And look, to a certain degree, there's arguments for both sides. Yes, they're a little bit brass with it all, but I think that's the thing. Sort of like, if you're the top dog, that's kind of what you get. It's kind of like you want to sort of do a collaboration, or you want to work with somebody who's really successful and really ahead of the game. You can't dictate the terms to them, because they'll say to you, well, screw you, I could just go elsewhere. Like, I don't need you, kind of thing. And yes, you could say there are areas in which they need cooperation and all this kind of stuff, but that does allow them to have a little bit of that sort of attitude towards it all. And in this case, I think it's, the fentanyl or something like this. I mean, Colombia and a bunch of these other countries, yes, take back your immigrants and this kind of stuff. And I'm sure, Mexico falls into that camp as well. But I don't think there's a great deal of illegal Canadian immigrants coming across. So I think that's more in the camp, as I said, they're talking about the fentanyl and the drugs and that kind of stuff. I know I have actually seen that people have been using the US Canada border to sort of jump into, but the numbers are minuscule. It's accelerating at a faster rate, but again, when you've got small numbers, it's easier to accelerate at a faster percentage rate than it is when you've got mass numbers. So, just the fact that it's increasing at a faster rate than the Mexico border doesn't really mean anything. But more to the point, not a lot of sort of immigrants are coming in through Canada. So, you sort of think, okay, look, are they really going to say, hey, look, you know what, we're not going to do anything, or are they going to say, okay, let's get on board and let's fight this problem together? I don't know. We'll see. But the point is, it's sort of like there's a chance that they do actually come back to them and say, hey, look, we'll play the game and let's do it. And so they avoid the tariffs. And if this is the move when the tariffs are coming, well, maybe when the tariffs are sort of like that sort of the driver of this is taken away, maybe you see a bit of this move undo. The second move here could be on the comments of China with the tariffs. But again, we know that China's going to cop some sort of level of tariffs. Um, Not going to be that sort of 60% or whatever that he said it was going to be initially. But, we'll see. Anyway, so moving along, these are the levels you're looking for in terms of short-term moves of DXY. You can see, obviously, buyers giving it another bit of a push up here. Breakthrough here, well, you can see buyers down here for this bounce here, breakthrough here, and we're back down to the lows here to undo this move. We'll sort of see how this one sort of plays out. These kind of erratic kind of moves here. I mean, obviously there was enough for the market to sell it down through here. This was around through the ECB time as well. So obviously sort of the euro being bought is obviously what helped sort of push this thing down here as well. The bounce, well, a lot higher than I thought. And I can't even select this thing. Bang, all the way up over here. So anyway, down to that price target, we got the move there. The danger for this at the moment, if we get back on the higher time frame, is that it's potentially breaking out of this channel. The 4-hour lines up a little bit better. It's very much testing the top side here. We're into a horizontal area, which we've got marked out here. We can see, sellers are here, buyers are here, sellers are here, testing it again. So realistically, you could probably actually drag this. Let's make this a bit bigger. I'll actually just redo it now. Get rid of that and call it that. I think this is really the zone you're looking for now. Because if you break out of this box to the top side, you're breaking this falling resistance. And you're almost sort of, that's it for your pullback. And then you could potentially be coming back up over here. We could be looking a move 108, 48, 108.50, call that, just to make life a little bit easier. That's probably your next stop, where we could see sellers were here, sellers, boom, 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 boom. But the thing is, breaking this falling resistance means you've obviously lost momentum, and you're probably looking at best, a larger sort of consolidation around this period here. You really need the sellers to get back in control of this and push this stuff down from here. And as I said, if you break out of the box out of this side here, well, they're your targets to come down here. We still didn't actually fully close that gap. So I still want to see that fully closed. But for the time being, if this sells down, if we get a negative day like this, up and then bang, sold into, up, bang, sold into, that could be the one that sort of gets you down. But for now, I think this is your box to see where they break out of is going to be your next direction. Down, okay, we keep the channel going. Up, we've broken the channel, and you're looking up over to 108 and possibly even higher. But it means that you're going to see more sideways, and it sort of breaks this whole flow moving down, and you got to do all that work again. So let's see what they do with the old US dollar there. All right, and finally, just with China, as you can see, pop back into life here. Potentially, this could be, it's not perfect, but it is a bit inverted head and shoulder-ish. Whoops, not that one. Potential ugly, albeit ugly, yes, definitely. Does it look better on a daily? Look, it's not perfect, no, by any means. RSI is set to sort of give it a bit of a push back up. Talk of China tariffs is not going to do the yuan any good. It's certainly come down here. It's had second effort. and now it's pushing back up here. This effort here, obviously buyers have moved up from this level here, buyers have moved up here. If we see a lack of sellers in this level here, so it's right into its little sort of more immediate resistance, if this flips, then we're moving back up, and probably 731 is probably your next level, if not to undo this little move back up here to 733. So that is definitely, and again, this is how it's going to weigh onto the Aussie, and that the Aussie might sort of be taking a little bit of a sort of dip down underneath 62 should this candle here flip. Flipping daily, Aussie shorts. If this alert goes off, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's put it just above that wick there. All right. So it's not a great deal to sort of report with this one here, but yeah, we'll see how we go. So back to Aussie just there, because I think if you look at this on the 1 hour, it looks to be almost a little bit of range in. It's oversold. Unable to break down that level means is obviously, look, we're just consolidating this area here. But these are still the levels that I'm looking for underneath 62 or above 62.20. For the time being, I think that's your little box. And we'll wait to see what happens and act once we see a break of this box. All right, I think that's about it. We had a little bit of Aussie data this morning, mixed bag of stuff. Let's refresh this. PPI down a tick. It was expected to move up, but it's also come down. Again, sort of PPI, that's a producer price index. So, you know, people with their raw materials. So if they're paying more, well, they're going to pass that on. So it's expected then the consumer's going to be paying more. This has gone in the opposite direction. It's gone down a little bit. Not only that, it's gone down from previous month, and they were actually expecting it to go up. So there's another thing that weighs on Aussie here. And you got private sector credit has actually ticked up here a little bit as well. So obviously sort of people borrowing a little bit more, probably a little bit more confidence there. All right, that's it from me. Oh, actually, hold on, mate. Sorry, it's not it from me. We've got core PCE tonight. This is probably going to be something that might sort of move the market. One thing of note as well, just that with all this tariff stuff, if we haven't heard anything by the end of Asia, or even, oh, look, let's give it a bit more, by sort of, 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, halfway through Europe, I expect a couple of these positions to start to, couple of these pairs, I should say, start to position themselves for potential tariff talk headlines over the weekend. Because we saw what happened when there was a sniff of tariffs, talk of tariff, 40 points in 6 minutes. So if that actually goes through over the weekend, that could be seeing a little bit of a gap down sort of come Monday morning. And so I think a couple of people will probably ease out their positions a little bit prior to that. That's it for me.